to the another slide, which is talking about the NAS and SAN. And basically these has to do with the storage, because since in your test out lab, we have these sections. So that's why we added. And NAS, basically, you know, this is for your small, like in a home, if you want to connect multiple like these devices, this is known as NAS, which comes with a redundant disk, okay? And you want to store your information like movies or whatever the data you have. You don't want to keep it on your laptop, but in some another device, so everybody can access. Okay, so this is where we use NAS, which is network attached storage. And basically it is connected with something like, you know, if we have a router, and then this router is connected with this thing, and then you have, you know, computers, your laptops, your devices, your phones, whatever the data you want to access, you can access through this network attached storage. So, but the I mentioned here, the drawback is that, you know, if either this device is fail or this device is this connection is fail, nobody is gonna access this device. So this is the drawback of this thing. But in production environment, most of the time, that storage concept that is being used or the devices are used are SAN, storage area network. And how this looks like, it will be like this. These are normal switches. Okay, these are the servers. And then these are these SAN devices. Okay, then we have multiple redundancy to reach those SAN devices. Even in your data center, if we talk about, they are using SAN kind of topology. If you want to upgrade, you can add more devices, hard disk on that. Either it is SSD or your normal SCSI. Okay. And even this switch is down, still we have kind of redundancy. Danish, if you want to explain more on that, if you have.
Yeah, I mean, this is like, think about this. This is probably the most important thing in any company, to be honest. If you go to a company right now and you say that, you know what, I am going to be the network engineer or as even a sysadmin, and I need to manage this whole company, right? So if you think about it, actually, when we talk about, you know, these different type of devices and everything, it has to have some type of storage out there. And most of the companies are going to be using this type of technologies where they can centrally manage all of their you know, their storage. So if that fails, if a connection fails to that storage, your whole network is down. Because the current method these days is what? Do you guys know? Do we use a lot of physical servers these days or virtual servers? What do you guys think?
Virtual.
Virtual. So that virtual servers also needs a lot of, like, you know, it has to connect to a lot of like, you know, storage devices. Even if it's, let's say, normal VMs like domain controllers, a lot of different type of management servers. You can't just have a local storage running, right? Imagine for each server, if you had to have a local storage, what would happen then? You would go to each local server, local storage, and try to manage it. So if it runs out of space, you will be doing a lot of manual work. So again, we're back to the management. So when you want to get into this type of jobs, there's no way you would be able to proceed, because your back end, the bone of your network, like where things are running from, is, we know that as network, that's a connectivity part of it. But where's the data? Where are these things happening is the most critical part for any engineer level person to understand. So number one, I think from your test out try to understand the difference between NAS, SAN, different type of storages that are available out there. And even these days, there are cloud capabilities as well. So I'm going to give you some visual presentation now, just to show you how powerful these things are. So then when you go into a network now as an engineer, you're not going to be scared of these things. So two things I want you to know. Why did we in the beginning talked about the physical side of things and a different type of connections and different type of cables, and this is where it plays a big role. When you go to a data center, most of the things that you're going to see are this type of devices, and it uses that fiber connection, different type of serial cables. You got to understand that from your test out. So I want you to really go back and maybe try to revise that if you feel like this is something you're going to lack in your company. So that is the key right here. Okay, so I'm going to show you a practical example. I'm going to share my screen with you all. And okay, so look, when we go to we talked about a data center over here. So you go to a company, this is the company again, and now we're talking about a pretty much like the first things in the company, right? So we're talking about hardware level at this point. Okay, I want you guys to think about it. If I have to run, let's say, 200 virtual machines, and it has to do different things. Some has to store files, some has to provide some services, things like that. What do you guys think? What should I buy over here? This is my data center. I want you to give me give me some ideas. What should I buy?
If you want to do what, sorry?
Anyone?
What was the, can you hear me?
Yes.
What was your question?
My question is that if I have to, let's say I have a lot of clients over here, I have a lot of staff members. These are, let's say, about 600 staff members. They have to save their files. They have to do a lot of things. Then there are some external people that need to send files to my company. So there's again file storage and everything needs to be done. And there are some Cisco devices. There are some services that needs to run inside this company. So what should I buy? Like from a hardware level, can I just go and buy every single server, just start buying like Dell hardware for each and every server, or should I go for some different solution?
I think you should go for mini solution. I mean, you will have to buy those bigger storage.
Okay, good job. So bigger storage means that I don't need to buy for each and every service. I don't need to buy each and every single physical server over here, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like the same concept for virtualization, but I'm not talking about virtualization at this point. I'm just talking about what can I do to not go for many different type of physical devices, and I want to manage things from one single point. Do you guys know any solutions?
You have to share a big size of storage.
Exactly. So for big size of storage, is what will happen then? I mean, yeah, I can go and let's say get a big, storage server from somebody, but I still have to manage it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay, good. So now what happened right now, currently, if you go to a company, again, this is something that you will not need to learn right now, but know the names, and maybe you can do some research to add it on your resume if you want. So UCS, okay, it's a Cisco product, I would say. So let's say this is a data center. In data center, I went ahead and I called Cisco that I need UCS from you guys. And this is kind of like a server, basically, it's not a server, it's like a chassis. And inside this, it has multiple servers in there. Why am I drawing on this here like this? So it has multiple servers. So it's like a one big device. What it comes with is a mini servers that you can slide it in that chassis. Now I'm using all these normal terms. These are not technical terms, but I'm just using slide it in, slide it out. So this could be one server right here, like a physical server, but back of that chassis, you have different type of power connected. So power 1, power 2, power 3, power 4. So this is connected to, like, let's say power, right? Power management. Then you have these servers. So now, here's the thing. This server is a real server. It's like a normal server. It saved me from going out there and buying multiple big servers and rack it up, right? Now I bought this one big chassis that is built to take something like smaller size servers, and you just plug it in there. Like you just hold, like, the whole device, you just plug it in to that main chassis. Am I making sense so far?
Yes.
Okay. So you got server 1, server 2, server 3, server 4, server 5. So yes, you could have a local storage on these servers, but at some point you're just going to run out of that local storage. So that's still not a good solution. But for managing these servers, that's what we use these days, UCS or anything like this. So you as a network engineer or a sysadmin needs to have some type of networking going on from your switches or routers, whatever it is. I'm not going to talk about networking here. You just got that done. And this UCS, you have network connection going on through some IP address, right? And from a web or from like some kind of software, you manage what? You manage this whole chassis, right? So it has all the servers connected to from this portal. So you can go to server 1, and in this server, then you can install what? These days, what is the hot solution? Virtualization.
Virtualization.
Exactly. So we could have an ESXi here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. With this having 300 GB RAM, 300 GB RAM, 300 GB RAM, 300 GB RAM, how much RAM do we have, right? So it connects everything. Then you have to use some other solutions to manage this whole virtualization, but that's coming. That's next. I'm going to talk about later on. But for now, I want you to focus on this UCS part. Okay. So when we talk about storage, then we're not relying on even this local storage, because that's still not enough for companies. They go for what? They go for another big server. And that could be another solution. So some of the solutions are from Cisco, from Nimble. There's like different companies, right? So one solution that I'm going to show you right now is called Nimble. Okay, I'm just going to give you an example of how a UCS is connected to what? A storage system that is way bigger than what this is going to hold. So I'm not going to use a local storage on this server. I'm just going to use the connection and management piece. So then I can use the storage this UCS is connected to this Nimble. And what's going to happen? These servers are going to use what storage from where? Local or from here?
From there.
From there. There you go.
Nimble.
Exactly. So let's go to Nimble now. Let me show you. First, let's go to UCS.
We can't. Oh yeah, we can.
All right. So what did I talk before? What is the chassis here? This is the chassis right here, right? Do you guys see it?
Yeah.
Yep.
This is what I talked about, which has one server, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. I can double click on it and go into it, but that's going to get a little bigger. So right now, this is then connected through some of these fiber interconnect, like these are little switches that are like special switches, right? So this may connect back to where? That Nimble, like this may go back to some kind of storage that what Kamran was talking about, SAN or some type of storages, right?
Okay.
So this server, then it's like configuration is done inside this server to use this type of solution. So you may have one SAN or you may have two like that. So if one goes down, what will happen?
The other one is redundancy.
Redundancy. If I click, let's say, let's go ahead and clear all of this. And let's click on servers. This is what I'm talking about. Inside that chassis, how many servers do we have?
6.
How many cores do we have per server?
1.
Wait.
Oh no, 20 cores. Sorry.
I thought you said. Oh, okay. Cores.
One server comes, like I said, this, when we talk about that chassis, right? This chassis, this little piece that you see on the top right here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? Each is a separate server, but this chassis is managing. So what the system that you guys are seeing, look on the top, what am I logged into? Cisco Unified Computing System Manager, right? So that chassis is what I am on right now. I am not on the server yet. If I want to go into a specific server inside the chassis, what would I do? I will click on server and I'm going to go in straight into that server. And on that server, I can install ESXi. And then, of course, that becomes a virtualization skills there. But you see, I'm controlling my whole network from where? From this one chassis connected to a storage, right?
Mm-hmm.
So now give me a question, give me an answer. So this is kind of like the okay, this is the chassis part of it. This is the management part of it. This is my hardware in this one big block, right? I'm managing it. So then I need another big product from different vendors. So I said I bought Nimble. So let's go to Nimble now. So I went to Nimble. Do you guys see that now?
Yes.
Okay. So look at this. Look at the amount of storage on that, 22 TB on top.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just one. So how does it look on the front end? You go to a data center. How does it look? It's going to look like this. The server physically is going to have HDD, so many hard drives connected to it, and it's going to blink with green, orange, or whatever. If it is having issues, it's going to have different lights. Okay. So here you see, if for example, this was to go down, like in that, where is it connected to back to that chassis? This thing is pretty small, so let me see if I can make it. Do you guys see that FC1 and FC2?
Yes.
That's where it's going back and connected to that little switch that is connecting back to UCS. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yes.
So from UCS, we are connecting a storage, which is so much that everything is running on here. All of your virtualization technology is actually running mainly in most of the companies are running on something like this. So give me an answer right here. If both of these devices were to go down, can I access my UCS? Let's say this is a storage device right now. It's at this point, it has nothing to do with UCS. It's just connected through this one connection, which is a switch right here. This switch that we talked about is right here. Let's go back to the main, this right here. So let's say it's connected to FC, this port 31. So this is the one, right? F fabric, right? So it's connected to, let's say, this port 31 right on the end. If both of my storage devices has to go down, can I still access UCS, which I am on right now?
Yes.
Yes. And why did you say yes?
Because the storage is within UCS. It's not the main component.
Perfect. The storage is not a part of UCS. It's just connected to it. So I'm just using networking to connect to my storages, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if my storages were to go down, and let's say every single virtual machines are using my storage. For example, in this UCS right now, we have servers. Under this server, we install ESXi. Under ESXi, we have domain controllers. Every virtual machine is running. And my storages went down. Can I access my, first of all, can I access the virtual machine from
Yes.
network?
Yes.
How?
Through this system.
So through this system, you say that I can access my virtual machines.
Yes.
And I say that the whole storage is down because the whole storage is connected back to where? Like when you install a virtual machine, you have to have some kind of storage, right?
Oh, so no, you wouldn't be able to go into your virtual
Exactly.
machines.
Your virtual machine are down at this point. If your storage system didn't work properly, if redundancy didn't work, what happened then? If both of these went down, both of FC1, FC2 went down, you can only get to UCS, but your domain controller, virtual machines, everything is down at this point. You see the importance of storage being connected to something like this?
Yes.
And the redundancy and how you need to understand all of these different type of connections. Because as a network engineer, you need to come over here and see why FC1 is down. So let me go back. Where is the source? So now let's not talk about just only these products. It could be any product. It will be similarly connected to anything like this. And you need to then troubleshoot that, right? So if I was to come back over here and I want to solve the solution, what would I do? I would go to the UCS and first I want to see what is the issue. Is this the issue on a server level inside UCS, or is the issue on the main UCS connecting these connections like FC1, FC2, like these little ports? So again, then of course we're getting into a little more details of troubleshooting storages, but that's not the part of this. Did you guys got the whole idea of how networks are connected these days in the market?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Now again, this is something that you may see in a company. And if you go to the company right now, they may be talking about upgrading this whole structure to something more advanced. Or not advanced, more modern.
Infrastructure as a service.
Yeah. So basically what I'm talking about here is that this UCS that you're seeing is very old. So there's two things. One, you can upgrade it to new versions. Maybe they will support it to, I don't know, however long they will support it. But Cisco now came with a new technology, which is called HyperFlex Connect. So if you look at it right here, it's almost the same thing that you guys are seeing over there, but in a little better way, right? You got data storage right here, and data storage can be connected where now? To cloud.
Oh, that's really cool.
Okay, 1 TB from the cloud now. You can run your virtual machines on the cloud. You can have a full system, the same thing that you saw over there. I can click on here and I can see the same thing going on. 4 nodes. We have 4 nodes over here, and all these nodes are just like what we saw in our UCS. So hypervisors are running on those nodes right now. These are the IP addresses, right? So it tells me that everything is running. All these disks are right here, and if something happens, I can clearly see what's going on with my disk, all that stuff.
Wait, can you hover over one of the disks, please, for 1 second? Okay.
It tells you like how much space is done.
Yeah,
It tells you
that's cool.
the type is SATA or different type of devices on the bottom.
And Danish, I have a question. And when we use HyperFlex, is it still SAN or it changed the name? Like it's cloud?
It's still SAN, but it's connected to the cloud, just like any other products out there. And it's not just SAN solution. It's like a mixture of. You can even use, like, for example, this HyperFlex is actually connected to a local connection, and then you can connect this. Data store is the main thing over here. You could either have it mounted to a local area, or you can have it mounted to a cloud, which Citrix Cloud is an example over here. Okay.
I'm sorry. Is HyperFlex considered a UCS?
No, it's like a better version of UCS.
Okay, so UCS is a specific product. It's not idea like virtualization.
Yeah, so
Okay.
UCS is a hardware product that gives you a great power. Like, so think about UCS, one system with a lot of power, a lot of RAM, a lot of memory, but then
Got it.
inside that system, let's just open it right now.
I was just not sure if like this whole idea has like a name.
Yeah, I know it's a little confusing, but let me see if I can open.
How old is UCS? Like how many?
Oh, it's so many. I mean, I don't remember that years, but it's a pretty old technology. But it's not old. It's more of like they keep updating, just like any other Cisco products. Like ASA is years of old, but they update it like with new versions and new product, new hardware. So the UCS on the front look like this. This is an exact image of a UCS, by the way, and it gave this really nice way of where are things connected. So UCS is like this. Back in the data center, this whole device is like a one big chassis right now.
Right.
You see it? And this right here, what you see, give me 1 second. Where's my drawing? This is server 1. You guys saw that, right? This is server 2. 1, 2. So I can have another server. I can go to eBay right now, and I can buy a server, and I can just plug it into this UCS. Is it making more sense now?
Yes.
Got it.
I can buy another one here. These are running. So under this server, this is like a power here. This is RAM, memory, cores, RAM, memory, core separately. So I can then install what on this?
Servers, or sorry, virtualization.
Virtualization, ESXi host. So I will install what? Host host, and then how would I manage all these hosts?
Using UCS.
Nope. No, not managing. Like, how would I then internally manage these hosts? I'm going into virtualization now, just for a second.
Oh, from ESXi?
The
What?
vCenter.
vCenter. So ESXi will let me log into this server only with an IP address. So that's okay. That's a solution, but that's when vCenter is not working.
Okay, got it.
A vCenter is also a VM somewhere, and you go to the IP address, and then from that IP address, you manage all of these servers from one single console.
Okay.
Internally, like the VMs. And once Kamran talk about virtualization, we're going to come back to this again. I'm going to show you the same image, and then I'm going to show you virtualization in a vCenter, how this is configured inside the vCenter, all these servers. Okay, so let Kamran take over now.
That is very great demonstration, Danish, and you explain a lot in detail.
I see a PowerPoint image like this. I hope you guys are not confused then. It should be pretty clear now.
So only drawback in the SAN is, as Danish was discussing about those SAN devices, actually it's expensive. It's very expensive. And by the way, these things they are using, these are fiber channels. Why? Because we need more speed. As you can see, it can start from 2 all the way up to 128 gigabits per second.
Yeah, we just implemented a solution for a company, and we're talking about, if you want to do the whole thing from scratch, we're talking about more than $128,000 just
Yep.
in a normal data centers.